Hi, everybody. It's good to see you all virtually this afternoon. I met with these singers actually a few weeks ago to work with them. So I should tell you that when you see the clock on the screen, that's not today's time. So don't worry about missing the Super Bowl later. We'll be done way before that. And also, I should say that seeing myself with a mask on, I know my mother would have been very proud. It's the closest I'll ever be to looking like a doctor. Anyway, I had a great time working with these three singers, and I love doing these kind of coachings. It's great to go through the discovery process of working with singers with arias that they're very familiar with, but then as they start to make new discoveries, it's always such a pleasure. And these three singers did great work. I'm really looking forward to watching them perform again today. I also want to thank our pianist, Brian Holman, and I do want to apologize in advance. When I started the webinar recording, I called him by the wrong name, but it is Brian Holman, and he's a terrific artist and pianist and enormously supportive at the keyboard. We are doing three arias from Carmen, probably one of the most popular operas in the repertory. I think most of you out there will be familiar with the story. Carmen, the gypsy woman who fatally seduces Don Jose, the soldier. And his girlfriend is Micaela, a young, innocent peasant girl from the country, who in Act 3 comes to find him. He has run off with Carmen to the mountains to become a gypsy with her, hoping to keep her attention. And poor Micaela has to find him in this destitute wilderness, which she is terrified of, surrounded by all kinds of danger. So let's watch now. Oh, I should talk about our singer. Our singer is Janani Sridhar. Janani comes to us actually originally from Singapore, but has studied at Oberlin and Manhattan School of Music and Stony Brook. She's done a lot of opera and concert in recent years, and I had the pleasure of meeting her a few years back when she was part of the ensemble of Ghosts of the Versailles at Manhattan School of Music, which I directed. But I didn't at that time get a chance to hear her as a soloist.
So, Giovanni, it's good to see you again. Good to see you. And why don't you try the aria once for me, and then we'll talk.
All right.
Great. Great. Good, good. Nicely done. It's really nicely done.
Thank you.
You clearly have a very good idea of what this is about, which is good. Context is really important. You know, Carmen's an interesting opera. It's a very transitional opera. They're moving out of kind of very formulaic stuff into what's going to become verismo. And it's finding that balance because the structure of the aria is actually rather old-fashioned. It's recit ABA.
Yes.
You know, which is not kind of what we think of mid to late 19th century. And I think a couple of things. Think about the context of this. It's an aria we know so well. You know, it's the soprano party aria. You know, pull it out at every party, sing it, everybody will love you. And I've done Carmen a number of times. The Carmens are always so angry because they work very hard for 4 hours. And Michaela comes on and sings essentially an aria and a duet and walks off with the show every night because the audience likes her. Carmen,
Right.
not so much, you know. But the context here is remember that you are coming in a place you've never been before. This is another world from where you're used to. And I always say to Michaela, what did it take you to get up that mountain, to pay that guy off, that guide, to get you up to the mountain, to go to a place where you might be killed? What does it take you to get you there? And that's where you start. You know, you fill the intro very nicely, but I think the degree of need and want and where you are can be even more.
Okay.
Okay. The ABA structure is really important because I think the tendency, and I think you do very well with the end, but I think the tendency many sopranos have here is to make A and the A prime almost exactly the same. But my formula has always been A plus B equals A prime. So where you start with A, the B section gives you more information. Obviously, A is your prayer to God.
Right.
B is about her.
Right.
Right. Do you overcome your fear or anger of her after you finish B?
I think so.
You do. At the end of B?
I believe so, because she has this moment and she's like, she screams like, I'm going to speak out loud. I'm going to, so, overcome this barrier.
If that's the case, then you have no reason to sing A prime. You've accomplished your goal.
Okay.
You've gotten your objective.
So it would be the end of A prime.
Yeah. What is it that you want when you come up here?
I mean, to do the duty that I've promised his mother, Don Jose's mother.
What's the aria mostly about, though? What do you want? Why are you singing the aria? Why are you saying these words? Why are you praying to God? What do you want?
To get Don Jose to come back home.
That's the scene that's coming up. This moment you talk about courage.
Yeah, to have the courage to do
Just
this.
to be here. That's all the aria is about in a way.
Okay.
It's about overcoming your fear of being here and your fear and, you're not the woman Carmen is. You know that.
Yeah.
It's how do you overcome all of that so that you can stay here long enough? Because the next thing that happens is what? Right after this aria,
The gunshot. And
There's
then
a gunshot.
Escamillo. Yeah.
Right. Which, and suddenly, after all of that, you go flying away. You go to hide, So it probably didn't work. And I was even the end, your last beat's really important because I always warn singers, be careful. Just because the music ends doesn't mean you end. There's that formula of going, okay, I've sung what I'm going to sing, and I'm done. You're not done. What you need at the end of the aria carries all through the postlude and continues until that gunshot goes off. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't get what you want here. You really don't quite get the courage you think you want, I don't think. Which is why you sing it again. And the way you sing A prime is really quite different from the way you sing A. Because you suddenly have reminded yourself about her and him and why you're here. And dear God, I need your help. And God doesn't give you an answer at the end of this aria.
Yeah.
It's going to be up to you on your own. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So suddenly you have an arc for the piece, but don't let the arc do this. I always say kind of let it do this all the way to the end so that you're not like, okay, I'm done now, you can applaud for me. It's going to happen anyway because it's built into the aria. The audience knows this tune, Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's try it again. You don't have to tell me unless you want to. What scares you? Like going to an audition. Does an audition scare you?
Not quite.
Okay, good. All right, that's a good answer, actually. I'm glad to hear that. If the Met calls, it says, we need you on stage in an hour to sing Michaela, would you be nervous? That would be rather extraordinary today, considering nothing's going on anywhere. Right?
I mean, I'd be nervous, but I wouldn't be scared.
Okay, what scares you?
Losing my husband.
What?
Losing my husband.
God forbid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Environment-wise, can you think of a place that you have been or
living in the middle of a pandemic without a mask?
There you go. Okay. Well,
that is scary.
There you are.
Yeah.
I'm saying, think it's the environment. Okay, so you are coming to the center of the pandemic, as it were, at the top of that mountain. If you stay at the bottom, you're safe. If you come up here, this is one of those spreading areas up there. Whatever it is, you have to find that yourself. The hardest thing for singers is creating all of the backstory when you start an aria because you learn the arias generally out of context. God willing, later on you get to do the role, and then you get to put it all together. But most of the time you're learning pieces like this on your own. Actors don't usually do that. They may learn a monologue, but they really work with other actors to find that performance. What you do have is the music telling you an awful lot.
Yeah.
So, and Mark's getting those tremolandos very spooky at the beginning, So climb that mountain to the pandemic, and that's not over at the end.
All right.
Take a moment. Do you want to stay? Do you want to stay there? And find these words. Find the words. You don't know what you're going to say yet. Right from there. Don't go anywhere. Right from there. Right from there. Find the words. Find the words. Let the section before lead into that. Okay. It's like you stopped and started a new beat. But, you know, and then, you know, move into it.
Okay.
Keep the energy going. It's very good. Different this time, yeah? Does
Yeah.
it feel different?
Very, very different.
Very different, very fresh. Just keep finding the words. Like you don't know what you're going to say.
Okay.
We have the phrase before Mark gets her. Okay, good, good, good. Much better. The energy is much better from that. I think it's easier to sing.
Yeah.
You know? Now, because it says pianissimo, it doesn't mean dolce. Those are two totally different colors.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, I know it means it gets softer. The arc is like that dynamically. But don't lose the intent. Don't lose the energy. Because this B section has to push you into the A return. And you should sing that differently. Whatever energy you have at the end of B is what A should be about, not pulling back to a dynamic that was where you started. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, try it again, Mark. Same place we started. That's it. Keep it going. Let that push you into B.
Je vais voir de près cette femme dont les artifices maudits ont fini par faire l'innommable de celui que j'aimais.
Relax. Keep asking, keeping asking. Reach for him, reach for him.
Oh, Seigneur, donnez-moi du courage, protégez-moi.
Keep going, keep reaching.
Oh, Seigneur,
He's not answering.
protégez-moi.
Keep asking. Keep asking. Keep reaching. Keep reaching. Keep asking. Keep asking. Keep asking. Keep asking. Don't relax. Keep asking. All the way through. Keep asking. That's it. Keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going. Don't relax. Then you relax. What do you think?
Very wonderful. Very, very different. Very verismo.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
We're right there. You know.
It's cool.
Vocally, you feel okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Be careful because you want to start that A return, you know, nice and sweet and, you know, dolce before, but the energy out of B is different. And I think dynamically you can have a little more punch to it.
Okay.
And I think at the end especially. The other thing you did you said, elle est dangereuse, elle est belle. And the first time you did it, elle est dangereuse, elle est belle, like, you know, you were describing the words.
Yeah.
This time it was like, I don't like the fact that she's pretty. I don't like that.
Right.
You know? So suddenly that's all colored by what you're doing. It's not about the text, it's obviously about your subtext.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was easy.
Oh, Jay, this was really fun. Thank you.
It's okay. It's my pleasure.
Thank
So
you,
good to see
Brian.
again. Thank you, Mark.
Good to
Yeah,
see you.
yeah. And it, you know, this all helps Mark too, right? I mean, it gives you, the energy was different between.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
Thank you.
she's got a lot more spunk than people always maybe do. Right? I mean, it's easy
She's
to
got
put.
guts, yeah.
What? You know. Listen, as I said, it took a lot to get up that mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could get there, you're going to fight. But the important thing is that you don't get an answer at the end of the aria, and it's too easy to go ba da da dee da da ba da 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 ba da 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 bump bump, you know, as
Yeah.
opposed to all the way through, and then it ends. And if you're in the right kind of house and they're all caught up, they won't start applauding right away because you're like, it's not over, and then it's over. So you are totally in control when the aria ends, not the orchestra.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Oh.
lovely.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you, Jay.
Last time I saw you were dancing. This time you're singing. It's great.
Many years ago, right?
It's a long time ago.
Had a career switch in between, you
Yeah,
know?
really, really. Anyway, lovely.
Thank you, Jay. Such a pleasure.
Work with I love working with singers. Singers are great. And also in a case of singers who are so well prepared when they come in. And Janani was definitely well prepared. She knows how to sing that aria. Our next singer is Edgar Jaramillo. And he has been singing around New York City. He is born and bred in New York City, singing around the city. I noticed singing with the Amato Opera, some of the other local opera companies, also with Henry Street Settlement. I'm a great fan of Henry Street Settlement. As it turns out, my neighbor, David Garza, is actually the head of Henry Street Settlement. So they have a wonderful, wonderful arts program there. And so glad to hear that Edgar has had a chance to sing there. His next aria is actually from Act 2. Don Jose has been imprisoned. He tried to help Carmen escape in Act 1. He is imprisoned for breaking the rules, spends a month in prison, and now comes to visit her as soon as he gets out of jail at the tavern of Lilis Pastia. Carmen is, excited to see him, and then perhaps not so excited to see him when he decides that he has to return to duty when he hears the bugle call calling everybody back to the barracks. She's furious that he wants to leave her so quickly. And she spurns him, and he sings the very famous Act 2 aria, La fleur que tu m'avais jetée. She threw a flower at him in Act 1, and he has held on to that flower for over a month. So now we will hear Edgar Jaramillo sing Don José's Act 2 aria.
So, Edgar, you're going to sing Don José's second act aria from Carmen.
Yes, I will.
Please.
Thank you.
La fleur que tu m'avais jetée dans ma prison m'était restée, flétrie et sèche cette fleur, gardez toujours son douce odeur. Et pendant des heures entières, sur mes yeux fermant mes paupières, de cette odeur je m'enivrais, et dans la nuit je te voyais. Je me prenais à te maudire, à te détester, à maudire. Pourquoi faut-il que le destin l'ait mis là sur mon chemin? Puis je m'accusais de blasphème et je ne sentais en moi-même, je ne sentais qu'un seul désir, un seul désir, un seul espoir de revoir, oh Carmen, oui, de revoir, car je n'avais qu'à paraître, car j'étais en regard sur moi pour t'emparer de tout mon être. Oh ma Carmen, et j'étais une chose à toi, Carmen, je t'aime.
Okay, good, good. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Not an easy aria.
No, no.
What are the challenges of the aria for you?
The challenges are to keep the language and the music all sort of even.
Even.
And not sort of like go off and into any emotional overrides. Just stay mellow, sweet, and also reverent to the text, to the words.
Okay.
So emotionally, to get engaged with the text, with what's happening, without getting too over emotional with the music.
Why are you afraid to get too over emotional? As you put it, too over emotional with it.
Oh, just because of the way this sort of is written, it's created so that there could be swells, and it's nothing to be cut off. So sometimes when you get too overloaded with emotion, there is a sense of over aggressiveness.
Right.
And it's not quite as visceral as that. It is visceral, but I think Bizet saves it for the last act, in the fourth act.
Right. Well, mentioned this earlier today. Carmen is transitional because it's coming out of this kind of French school of early to mid 19th century, Meyerbeer, et cetera, but it is now, he's laying the groundwork for Verismo.
Yes.
And it's trying to find the cross, how to handle both. And I think the difficulty is that right now your objective in the aria has nothing whatever to do with Don José's objective is. What does Don José want? Why are you, Don José, saying this to Carmen? What's gone on just before this?
Yes. She doesn't want me anymore. She thinks that I'm not worthy. I'm trying to win her back and tell her I spent all this time in jail for you and you're kicking me out,
Right.
Somebody else,
Right.
No.
Well, and it's not even somebody else. It's just because you are, well, I mean, unbeknownst to you, you're being manipulated by this lady, obviously. But you hear the trumpet and you think you have to go back. It's time. I have to. I've just gotten out of jail. I've got to play by the rules, or I'm going to be in more trouble. And she doesn't care about the rules. She never cares about the rules, right? So she has a fight with you. Says, I want to hear about it. You don't love me anymore. She throws herself on the floor, has a tantrum.
Yes, yes.
And now, think about the fact. How long were you in prison? Do you know?
Yes, I believe it was 1 month.
It was a month. Okay, so you spent a month in jail for her. And all you thought about was her.
Yes.
You drew a lot of roses on the wall or something. For one rose per day of the month. So there are 30 roses crossed out.
And smelling the flower.
Well,
all
and
the time.
how does that rose look at this point? It's 30 days you've had it in jail. What does it look like?
It's wilted. It's dried. It's
dried.
breaking apart on me.
Exactly.
Almost symbolic.
Exactly.
Of what's happening.
It is symbolic. It is
Yes.
who you are, right?
Yes.
You're broken by
Yes.
what's happened to you. The interesting thing about emotion and style is that if you get the emotional content right and you know what's going on musically, you will probably fulfill the style of the piece. I think if you start off with a goal of what you're not going to do, that makes it very hard to sing this. Now, I also suspect that there's more sound in this voice than I'm hearing.
Possibly,
Right.
yes.
I think this is a bigger voice than I'm hearing right now. Now, it doesn't help. I've got plastic,
Right,
massive
right.
plastic screens. But I think there's more sound. I think you're trying to control this so much that you can't have fun singing it.
Jay, it's a very possible assertion. Yeah, I think you may be right.
Probably. Okay. So everything is being helped. Now, I know it's marked piano for a lot of it. And then you have to go up to it as a B at the end, or
B, I believe it's B flat.
B flat.
Yes.
You have to go up for the B flat at the end, and everybody's supposed to, how do you do that? But this opera is usually done in a fairly large theater. And one of the trickiest things for singers is how do you adapt for the different spaces that you're in?
Yes.
But my suggestion is don't.
Okay.
I don't care where you sing it the way you sing it.
Okay.
Okay? Because especially until you know for sure how to sing it. And it's every time you do it, you feel comfortable with it. I say sing it for the theater. If you go to an audition, God forbid they say to you, oh my gosh, that's too loud. And you say, yes, but I know I'll fill your theater. As opposed to singing it for a room like this. And if I'm hearing you, I'm going to say, well, he sings it really nicely, but what if he's going to fill my theater?
Right. Yes. Jay.
Sing what the aria needs.
Okay.
Okay? Not the other
Right,
the
not for the
environment.
room.
Right, not for the room. And more importantly, sing emotionally what the aria is. I think let go of all that, the stylistic concerns that you have. Yes, it's legato. I know it's P. They're P all over in this aria,
Right,
just to
right.
make your life really crazy.
Yes.
But two things about dynamics. First of all, pianissimo is not dolce. It's one of my most favorite sayings. Just because it's pianissimo, because I can say, you know, I love you in pianissimo. I can also say, you're a son of a bitch. And that was pianissimo, but it was not dolce, you know? So, right?
Yes.
So an opera's full of those pianissimos that are not dolce. Right? The other thing is you have to figure out really honestly what your dynamic range is. Where is pianissimo for you and where is forte? And some people have, it's like this, and they sing Wagner, you know? And some people it's maybe like this. I don't know where you are, I don't know you well enough. And it doesn't matter because basically it's what is the difference between your pianissimo and your forte, which sets your dynamic range. Not to try to sing a pianissimo that's so quiet that you can't support it, and not to sing a forte so loud that you're pushing and you're over supporting it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that dynamic will come from making the right emotional choices. So we start off with the fact that you have been in jail for a month. You are in this room not all that long with her. And suddenly she's having a fight with you. And it's basically all about Carmen, because let's be honest, that's what the opera's about. It's about Carmen. Every minute, it's all about her, you know? And it's not what you expected. And even though there's, again, this kind of, this lyric pianissimo quality to it, I don't think that's about sweetness. I think, how do you feel at this moment when she rejects you? How do you feel, Edgar?
Yes. No, I'm totally rejected and alone, lonely.
Okay.
You know, when I
Sing it that way. Start that way. You know, she does it, and you pull out that flower not to show her, but to look at it and say, what did I do for a month? What was I, what, should I have done this? Was I crazy? And when you say la fleur que vous m'avez jetée, que tu m'avais jetée, you're really kind of almost speaking to yourself, reminding yourself of what you were willing to sacrifice. And was it worth it? You don't know. And by the way, you don't end this aria knowing. You don't know. And what's her next word to you?
her next word,
No.
Yeah.
No, tu ne m'aimes pas. You don't, no, you don't really. You just poured your guts out to the woman, and she said, no, you don't really love me.
Right.
You know,
right.
if the opera was set in the Lower East Side, I would say this was Jewish guilt, but that's not. But it's set in France, so it's French guilt. Okay? No, you really don't love me. I mean, you know, please. So you have to get to that point. You have to. This is about you as much as it is about her. It's about you're trying to come to terms with what she's done. Okay?
Okay.
Right. Now, do me a favor also. Don't have the hand so much at the side. So start somewhere else.
Right.
Because this is a very neutral position for singers. And once you're there, it's very hard to get out of it. It's the voice lesson, first voice lesson position, I call it. You know, relax, line up, get the voice, and you know, whatever. But as a performer, this is all part of your communicative instrument. So start with that flower. Take it out during that introduction, see it, and use it. And don't drop it, by the way. If you decide to put your hands down, you got to remember you either put it back in your pocket or you do something with it. Don't just,
Okay.
you know, okay?
Yes.
All right, let's try it again.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah. Try it. It's all dry, withered, dead. Okay, good. Stop. Sorry. Be careful because now you're acting. You're either looking at this or you're looking at her. This kind of, oh, I'm miserable. That's opera acting. That's
Okay.
not about anything. I mean, that's to fill the music.
Sure. Thank
But,
you, Jay.
Yeah, decide it's this, that's discovery of, that rose in your mind has been red and beautiful for a month. And now you look at it and you see how it really is.
Okay.
That's a big discovery. Takes a lot of that music. And then if you want to go back to her and start to sing to her, but it really is, I think the whole beginning is about you, you know?
Okay, thank you, Jay. Thank you. Thank you.
to your heart. Words, use the words.
La fleur que tu m'avais jetée dans ma prison m'était restée, flétrie et sèche cette fleur, gardez toujours sa douce odeur.
Okay, good. It's much better. It's much better. I'm getting more sound from you, which I like. Do you feel that difference?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be careful about intonation.
Okay.
Okay, you're a little under, because I think you just got to let it out.
Yes.
And you're still trying to hold it in. And I think that's pushing it down.
Okay, yes, okay.
It's la fleur, not la fleur. It's la fleur. Ah, out.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah.
I will.
Just before he starts to sing. Yeah.
La fleur que tu m'avais jetée dans ma prison m'était restée, flétrie et sèche cette fleur.
Breathe.
Gardez toujours sa douce odeur.
Talk to her.
Et pendant des heures entières, sur mes yeux, fermant mes paupières,
Tell her. A one
de
month.
cette odeur, je m'enivrais, et dans la nuit, je te voyais.
Okay, good. This is much better. Intonation is much better. You're singing with more dynamic, which I think is better. You're letting more sound out. Does it
Yes.
feel good?
Yes.
It should be easier. I hope it's a little easier.
Of course.
Well, no, don't tell me if it's not. I mean,
No, I won't lie to you.
Okay. Da-da-da-dee, when you go up for the high note there, don't rush. You get ahead. You're running. Where are you going? Okay. Let's get the phrase just before that, Brian. Okay.
Yes.
De cette odeur.
Right, is that a high? De. Okay. Thank you.
Et pendant des heures entières, sur mes yeux, fermant mes paupières, de cette odeur, je m'enivrais, et dans la nuit,
Don't rush.
je te voyais.
Talk to her.
Et me prenais à te maudire,
Talk to her.
à te détester, à maudire. Pourquoi faut-il que le destin
Use the words.
m'ait mise là sur mon chemin?
To her, tell her.
Oui, je m'accusais de blasphème et je ne sentais en moi-même, je ne sentais qu'un seul désir, un seul espoir de revoir au Carmen, oui, de revoir quand tu n'avais que
No?
paraître.
Okay. Be careful, because now you get off that high note and then you start rushing. Take a breath.
Don't
Get-
rush,
Get
yes.
some air in there, okay, before you go on. Otherwise, it's like you rush at the end of it. Can you get us, Brian, again a phrase before? With it? Da-da-dee, da-la-da-dee.
Oui,
Oh, no.
I got that.
Yeah.
oui, de revoir quand tu n'avais que paraître, quand j'étais en regard sur moi pour t'embarrer.
Now breathe and quiet.
Oh,
No,
ma
No, not enough breath, right? Yeah.
no, and take your time.
Ah.
Da, da, da. Does he come in while you're still playing, or he comes in the silence? I can't remember now.
No. What?
Yeah, but don't rush into it. Don't make Brian rush to you.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you,
He'll-
Master.
he knows what he's doing there.
Okay.
Let's get it. Let's do it one more time.
From?
Now, how does this is very different than before.
Oh yes, it's. I think I'm just maybe a little warmer now than the first time.
Of course, I expect that.
But there is a sense of liberation. I was contained in the room, you know, sort of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
psychologically.
Yeah.
So now, yes, now I see the
You're
person,
letting more
the stage.
sound out.
Yeah,
You're letting more sound out. You're doing more with the words. You're taking a little bit more time. I hope we can get you to take more time. Don't
Okay.
rush.
Okay.
Okay. You're on pitch, which is good. Okay. And does it feel un-French?
No, it doesn't. It feels very French.
See, it's still got the legato,
Yes.
but it's got this underneath it. This is the crux of the opera. You know, I mean, it happens relatively early. We get into like it's only the middle of the second act.
I know.
And you know, all of this happens between the two, and it is downhill for the next 2.5 acts for this poor sucker. You know.
Oh yes.
And just when he thinks maybe he's got her, then, you know, Escamillo comes in, you know, and third act's
ruins
not a
everything.
happy time, and then we got the fourth act. I mean, you know, this is in a way your emotional peak, God forbid, you know. And from here on, it's a long, slow descent. So this has to fuel you for the rest of this, for another 2.5 hours, you know.
Right.
This opera's got a lot of opera still in front of it,
Okay.
okay? All
Okay.
right, so, Brian, a good place to start?
Oui.
Oui, de revoir quand tu n'avais qu'à paraître.
Words.
Quand j'étais un regard sur moi pour t'emparer de tout mon être. Oh, ma Carmen.
That's it. Take your time. Take your time now. Talk to her. Beg her.
Et j'étais une chose à toi, Carmen.
Take your time.
Je t'aime.
That's it. That's it. Keep going. Just like that. Keep going. Yeah, it's
Thank you.
work.
Thank you
It's work.
for giving me that impetus, you know, that stimulation. You know,
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah, well, that's what's there. You know, again, be careful. If your goal as a singer is to make musical choices, you know, that's the foundation. That's the work you do beforehand. You learn the notes, you learn the dynamics, you learn the pronunciation, you learn what you're talking about. God willing, you read the story of the opera. You do all of those things. These are all the tools you put together. But the goal should not be, as I always say, to land on the page. The page is where you start, and you jump off of it. Okay?
Okay.
And I think you're jumping pretty well now. You know?
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you so much
good.
for that.
No, that's terrific. Yeah, keep working on it like that. Okay?
So thank you so much.
And work on all your
Jane.
stuff like this.
Okay.
Open up. Let that sound out. Don't, you know.
Yes, don't contain it.
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah,
But thank
yeah.
you so much.
Do you have even more on that B flat? Can you hold that even longer?
Okay, I will. I will if you want me
Let's
to do
go
it again.
back. Yeah. Let's just do the end again.
Oh, ma Carmen. Which one? Yeah.
Take your time here. This is a cadenza, essentially. You have all the time in the world.
Right.
Once the orchestra stops playing, now that's yours.
Okay. Thank you, Jane.
Yeah.
Oh, ma Carmen. Et j'étais une chose à toi, Carmen. Je t'aime.
Show it to her. Show it to her. Show it to her. Just show it to her. Don't do anything else but show it to her. Drop it right at her feet. Non, tu ne m'aimes pas. All that work, and what do you get for it? Not a thing.
Carmen!
Right.
That's what it comes out. Hair comes off.
Yeah,
After that.
exactly. Good. Okay, good. Nice work.
Jerry, thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Edgar. That was really, really good work. Edgar has such heart. You just see it when he's singing. You can hear it when he's singing, and that was a good session. I also want to thank Brian again because the accompanist is the orchestra, and if the conductor, as it were, comes in with a set of ideas, and that's the only way it's going to be, it doesn't work. It all gets developed between the conductor, accompanist, as it were, the singer, the director, all of it together. And Brian is so supportive and was so supportive during these sessions. And I just really appreciate it, just to see the changes and picking up on the ideas and hearing what the singer was doing. And that's what great accompanying is about. So thank you so much. Our third singer is Xiaoming Tian, who hails to us from China, near Beijing, but has studied here in the States for some years, Music Academy of the West, Manhattan School of Music, and I believe now at CUNY. I noticed in his credits that he sang the title role in Matisse der Maler with the Garden State Opera, and I'm very impressed with that. I mean, that is not an easy opera and doesn't get done very often, so there's quite a challenge there. He's going to sing the Act 2 aria, Escamillo's entrance aria, the Toreador song, from Carmen. And, this is the first thing we hear. Escamillo comes into this tavern, this Lilith Pastia's tavern, and surrounded by a crowd. It's kind of the night before the Super Bowl in Seville, shall we say, and he's here to show off. This is what I always call the baritone ego aria, but certainly one of the most popular things in the opera.
So, Xiaoming, you're going to sing Votre Toast, Escamillo, from Act 2 of Carmen. Yeah?
Exactly.
Good, please.
Okay, thank you.
Votre toast, je peux vous rendre, Seigneur, car avec l'estorta, il est torero, et sans d'adre, pour plaisir, sans les combats, le cirque plein ce jour de fête, le cirque plein du haut là-bas. Les spectateurs perdant la tête, les spectateurs s'interpellent en gros facal. Apostrophe grisée d'apage et poussée jusqu'à la filelle, car c'est la fête du courage, c'est la fête des gens de cœur. Allons, en garde, allons, allons, Toreador, en garde, Toreador, Toreador. Songe bien, oui, songe en combattant, qu'un œil noir te regarde, et que l'amour t'attend, Toreador, l'amour t'attend. Tout d'un coup, en fascinant silence, on fait silence, que se passe-t-il? Plus de cris un instant, plus de cris un instant, le taureau s'élance en bondissant hors du torrent. Il s'élance, il entre et frappe en chevaroure, entraînant des picadors. Ah, bravo taureau, il l'affole, le taureau va, il vient, et frappe encore. En secouant ce banderilles, plein de filets il coule, le cirque plein de sang. On se s'ouvre, on franchit la grille, c'est en tour maintenant. Allons, regarde, allons, allons, toréador, en garde, toréador, toréador. Il songe bien, oui, songe en combattant, qu'un œil noir te regarde, et que l'amour t'attend, toréador, l'amour t'attend, toréador, toréador, l'amour t'attend.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Very nice. Good. Very well done. Good.
Thank you.
So, tell me about Escamillo and why you like to sing this aria.
Yeah, it's very spiritual and very fun to sing. And, the Toreador is pretty cool, man.
He's a cool man, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well, this is like the baritone fantasy aria because it's all about you.
Yes.
It's
A solo.
It is just about you.
Right.
Normally I ask singers, what is it that you want? Well, what do you want when you come in here into this inn? What do you want?
Show off.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like that.
Absolutely. That's exactly it. Just to get everybody's attention.
Right.
Do you now? Normally, I will talk about like what's in the way, what's the obstacle, what's the problem that you have.
Okay.
Do you think you have a problem at this point in the opera?
You mean the issue?
Yeah.
My technical or?
No, I'm not talking about vocally. I'm talking about dramatically. Does Escamillo have any problem when he comes into this inn?
Oh, well, I think so. Yeah.
What's the problem?
I think the main problem is kind of, where's the girls?
Where are the girls? Okay. Well, let me suggest to you that you don't have any problem. This is one of the few times I think there's a character who doesn't really have a problem, at least at this point. In a few moments, you're going to have a problem. You're going to see Carmen for the first time.
That's right.
And suddenly, I want to get her.
Yeah.
But at this point, first of all, there's been a huge parade of people that bring you in. There are a lot of women in there already, too. Mm-hmm. So you've got everybody's attention. And, Escamillo does not lack for ego.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His head is about this big. And as the opera goes on, it just gets bigger and bigger.
Right.
Because he doesn't really have a problem. I mean, the fact is, the third act, of course, he comes up against Don Jose, and they have a fight. But he wins that. And in Act 4, he's got what he wants, which is Carmen. So this is a guy who is used to, he's a star. There are not a lot of things in his way right now. Mm-hmm. When you are a star, I understand, so I've heard, other people open the door, other people take the laundry to the cleaners, mm-hmm. Other people drive you where you need to go. Dinner is always waiting for you. You know what I mean? Your whole life, there are always people around who want to take care of you. And so Escamillo is very used to that. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the main objective here, I think, is just to show off. Mm-hmm. Now, there's two verses to the aria. What's the difference between these two verses?
Yeah, it's pretty different. The first verse is talk about, they describe the crowd and what happened in the bullfighters.
Right.
And in two, the bullfighters' entrance.
Right.
And the second verse, something changed.
What's different in the second verse?
Yeah, it's during the fighting,
Right.
you know, and the bull is very dangerous, you know,
Right.
and you try to make the story more mystical, you know,
Right.
and it asks to attract the audience to
Right.
listen,
Right.
you know, what happened again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You show off. I would suggest to you, you're not so afraid of that bull.
Okay.
If you were afraid of that bull, you wouldn't go into the ring. I think you love every minute of that, every bloodthirsty moment of that fight. You know, which is what attracts people to you. If it looks like you're afraid, they're gonna go, oh, he's a chicken. But if it looks like I don't care about, you know, if you're enjoying that more, you know.
Okay.
So the other thing too is, don't be afraid. I know we're in kind of constricted, tight quarters here, but don't be afraid to take up more of this room. I always I've said this to singers before. Don't play the room we're in.
Okay.
Play the opera. Play the stage. You know.
Okay.
Because it's very easy to kind of feel confined here, especially you know, with all of our plastic and masks and everything, to feel confined. But there's nothing confined about this. I mean, there's always a crowd of people around. You know, you have the chorus of 200 people, you know, Carmen somewhere in that mess, you know.
Yeah.
And you're wearing, you know, this, well, not fairly flashy outfit. The flashy outfit, of course, is in Act 4.
Okay.
But you're you know, you're dressed to show off, you know. And this is a place where you get to play with that idea of being a star. You know,
Okay.
I don't know you very well, but you seem like you're a really nice guy, and you're probably easy to get along with. But I don't want to see that part of you. I want to see what would it be like if I could just do anything that I wanted, right?
Yeah.
Can
exactly.
you do that?
Sure, I would try.
And when you get into the interlude between the two verses, use the room. I mean, circle around as if there's a whole crowd there, so that you turn back to start that second verse, like it's almost like you startle them a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Try it again.
Thank you, Brian.
And back there too. That's it.
Votre toast, je peux vous rendre, Seigneur, Seigneur, car avec le soldat.
You look like you're worried or angry. You don't look like. Thank you for the toast. Let me return the favor.
Yeah.
You know, I'm smiling behind the mask. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
So and all of this too. Again, when you finish that beat of looking around, don't just stop to sing the aria. Let the aria come out of all of that. You know, and votre toast, as opposed to I've done that. Now I'll sing.
Okay.
You know, connect the two.
Sure.
Great physical stuff.
I'll
I like
try.
that you're doing that. Yeah.
Votre toast, je peux vous rendre, Seigneur, Seigneur, car avec le soldat. Oui, les toreros peuvent s'entendre pour plaisir, sans les combats. Le cirque plein ce jour de fête.
Enjoy
Le
it.
cirque plein du haut les spectateurs perdant la tête, les spectateurs s'interpellent extravagants. Apostrophe, crisée la page est poussée jusqu'à la finale, car c'est la fête du courage, c'est la fête des gens de cœur. Allons, on garde, allons, toreador, on garde.
It's all about you. It's all about you.
Toreador,
That's you.
Songe bien, oui, songe en combattant, que les noirs te regardent, et que l'amour t'attend, toréador, l'amour t'attend.
Bravo! Bravo! Bravo!
Tout d'un coup, on fait silence, on fait silence. Ah, que se passe-t-il? Plus de cris à l'instant, plus de cris à l'instant. Le taureau s'élance en bondissant hors du tourris. Il s'élance et l'entrée frappe en chevaroure, entraînant un picador. Ah, bravo taureau, il relâche le taureau va, il vient, et frappe encore. Oh, c'est quoi ces banderilles?
Enjoy it, enjoy it.
Le filet, il court, le cirque plein de sang. On se s'ouvre, on franchit la grille. C'est en tour maintenant. Allons, regarde, allons, allons.
Show off.
Toréador en garde.
See Carmen.
Toréador.
See Carmen.
Toréador. Il songe bien, oui, songe en combattant, que les noirs te regardent, et que l'amour t'attend, toréador. L'amour t'attend, toréador, toréador. L'amour t'attend.
How long? Good, good, much better. Let's do the end. How much longer can you hold that last note?
Well,
Okay.
as long as you
Tall.
need.
That's right. Tall, hot, go right, go back.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
Toréador, toréador, l'amour t'attend.
That's it. That's opera. That's opera. Okay, good, good.
Thank you.
Good. So what's different for you this time?
Well, it's more, I feel more freedom. Yeah.
Good, good.
Especially, say, out of this box.
Absolutely.
Then, yeah, I think I need to break the wall and
Absolutely.
immerse myself into the audience. So,
Well, this aria is very much about being aware that there's an audience there. There's no question.
Yeah.
You know, don't worry about so much that audience out there as this audience. But in fact, it's one big audience.
Right.
That chorus is kind of, you know, the people out there joined together with the people on stage. That you have a very large audience.
Exactly.
Obviously for the aria. No, a lot more freedom. Sound gets bigger and rounder.
yep.
Because you have more freedom. Now you've warmed up too. It also helps the second time you're doing it. But also physically, so much different. I love the moment when you kind of, you know, you pull back. You know,
Right.
yeah, I just think the sound gets bigger and just physically you're having much more fun, you know. So yeah, that's all it needs. It doesn't need anything more than that, but
Thank
it
you.
needs that. It needs that. Good. Good. Any
Thank you so much.
questions or thoughts or?
Well, no.
No. You go home, you'll think about it. Okay. All right. So good. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Thank you, Xiaoming. That was really wonderfully done. I hope we'll all get a chance to hear you and see you sing that role on stage. Now I think the singers are going to join us. I did want to perhaps just to chat with you all a little bit. Of course, a few weeks have gone by since you did this work, and I am curious about kind of what your thoughts were after, and if you perhaps sang it for somebody else, and did they have a reaction? What was your feeling about it? And the other question I would ask is, have you thought about how to apply the work that we did to some of the other work that you're working on. So I don't know, Janani, you want to talk first, perhaps? There you are.
Sure. There's a lot of light coming in. Sorry if I'm
That's
blind.
good. Yeah, well, we're in the snow, so we're grateful to see your sunshine. I thought you were just creating that on your own, by the way.
Oh, too kind.
Natural flower, of course.
Yeah. So yes, this, I mean, when we worked together, was really applicable to sort of the rest of the arias in my package in terms of approaching phrases from the very beginning, because a lot of the times I think as singers we get trapped in the box of, you know, this is the aria, this is how it's usually done, this is standard practice, and keeping that sort of breath of air fresh, you know, that new thought every single time was just revolutionary to me. It changed the way I approach everything, even Lieder. I loved that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you know, Lieder is mini opera. I think singers are so incredibly lucky that you can do Lieder. You know, actors, very few actors go off. Maybe there's a, you know, there are one character plays that play, usually have to be very famous to get booked in those. But singers can put together a recital, a concert, and go off and perform, you know. And definitely Lieder, each if it's a cycle, it's got many acts to it, or certainly many scenes. If it's only one or two songs, but within that song, there's usually so much emotional life. I love hearing Lieder. I mean, I just love when in the hands of a great actor and a great performer. Lieder's terrific. So keep that up if that's what you're working on as well. Edgar, what about you? And after we worked together, any thoughts about that? Did you sing it for anybody else afterwards?
Thank you, Jay. No, I haven't actually, but I do want to say that Johnny is right on 100%. Jay, you unlocking or letting out your true voice in whatever atmosphere it is. It's true that we are conditioned sometimes in singing in rehearsal halls or piano rooms and things like that that is not conducive to say our voices, our vocal identity, because we subconsciously we tamper with our own instruments to adjust.
Absolutely.
But I appreciate you saying what you said, so that it can be that the foremost thing, which is you the instrument and communicate.
Well, you have to, all singers have to decide how is it that you sing the aria, and every time you sing it, that's what you do. It's not a matter of recreating. That's very dangerous. Say, well, boy, I really sang it well in the master class, so I'll just copy what I did. What you do is you set the foundation for yourself every time. Perhaps the same questions. I always tell singers, when you're writing all those things in your score, you know, the umlauts and the, you know, where is my glottis, and don't ever take a voice lesson with me because that would be a disaster. But I can't talk technically. But as you write all the things that your voice teacher tells you, that your coach tells you, that your conductor tells you, the other thing you have to write in there is the dramatic things too. What do I want here? And what's in my way? What's preventing me from getting it? What's the obstacle? So that every time you start the aria, you start there rather than just copying. So that the aria will perhaps be a little different every time, but that's what's going to keep it fresh as well. And the hardest thing I think for singers is that you don't get to work on your material with other performers a lot. You work on these arias by yourself, and it's very different. You know, for jamming, it's very different, perhaps, you know, to sing the Toreador song, you know, in your very interesting room that I see behind you, as opposed to getting into on stage where there are 200 people behind you and, you know, 3,000 people in front of you. But you have to create that in your mind. You have to create the environment. You have to create the experience. Because so often the material, you know, singing on stage in an opera is only a relatively small part of what opera singers do. A lot of it is rehearsal, a lot of it's preparation, some of it's solo work, concert work. So you always have to be able to create the environment if you're not indeed in that environment. I also say to singers, once we get past this terrible time that we're in, and we can be more social with each other, create kind of a singer's, you know, like a little salon for yourself. Invite 4 of your singers over and an accompanist and say, let's sing our arias to each other, and use the other people in the room as your audience, or perhaps as the other characters, because so often singers learn how to sing by themselves. You know, you're singing flower aria, but you're doing it in a room very often by yourself, not even with an accompanist there. And the accompanist is too busy playing for you to be your love interest at that moment, let's be honest. So, so you're singing usually like to a cinder block wall or to the cat or whatever. But you need to have the other person sometimes. You have to see what it's like to look into the eyes of somebody else as you sing that aria. Michaela, of course, is by herself, but you have to create the environment. And Jiaming, as I said, you have to just bring, 200 of your best friends with you every time you sing this aria, Now, again, after we worked Jiaming, what was your thought, your reaction? Did you think about how to apply this to some of your other work?
Well, yeah, just as you said, how to keep the aria in a fresh idea, that's really important. Since we already performed this kind of aria for many times,
Right.
on the stage with the orchestra and with the piano. So I think this time, I joined the master class. You gave me some kind of free idea, the new idea that's join yourself into the audience and immerse yourself in, create your like idea and emerge into it. So that's really important and inspiring.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Brian, I'm curious if you have any thoughts or reaction now that you're watching the work, because you were very busy playing, of course, at the time. But any thoughts or reactions to the work the singers were doing?
Oh, no, certainly. Because, yeah, like you said, we're often, when you said people try to engage with you, I had that the other night in a recital I did here in Florida. The singer just, locks eyes with you and you're like, I have to focus on my notes. But,
Right.
but yeah, no, it was really interesting to finally now see as an observer the whole process. And yeah, particularly like, I remember at the end of the flower aria when Edgar, you said, no, just let it go, but just look at it, and just the emotion that you read just emanating through his face there, just that simple minimalism. It was really, oh my God, wow. So it was just, you seeing these moments of growth that happen, and also in Janani when she was, I think you made some comments about how she was sort of indicating towards the literal meaning of these different emotions rather than what was her emotional journey before those moments. And so when seeing the transformation the second time, it was really
Well, also, again, I talked about the idea of your flexibility at the keyboard. I have certainly been in situations with accompanists and or conductors who have pretty much decided everything's going to happen before we all get in the room together. And of course, that's a terrible situation to be in because you can't build anything. Obviously, you're not one of those people. Thank you. So can you maybe talk about the first time you played it, perhaps for Janani, and the second time you played it, maybe what was going through your mind, or what was what you were hearing that was affecting the way you were playing, any comment?
Oh yeah, well, you kind of come to the table with a preconceived idea of how the aria is going to go, and general tempi and all that. But you kind of put forth your idea of it, and then immediately, when you've had no rehearsal, you just have to immediately cue into their breath, kind of what their sense of the tempo is, how their voices, how they're phrasing things, to kind of get a sense if you're melding with them. Some singers are very good at giving these gestures. Others, all of them were quite clear, I think. But some of them, younger singers generally, you need to push them and guide them more.
Right.
But yeah, and then hearing the different choices that were being made, then consequently those would result in the different musical things that you interpret. So I'm always listening, so I'm not always maybe thinking dramaturgically with them, but when they do make a different choice, it certainly manifests itself in how they phrase something or a dynamic choice. And so I don't know, it's always listening and reacting, and I don't know, some conductors, and I do find that sometimes, yeah, you have to come with kind of an idea of how it is, but then you do that dance in rehearsal to see kind of how the soloists respond, or what their voices need and all that. Then you do come to this agreement. I think that's a very rich and fulfilling thing. That's why I love doing this. So.
Well, that's what makes opera. And when it all's working, it's so much fun, isn't it, to be in the room where the conductor, the director, and the singers are working together and bouncing ideas off of each other, and we're all growing through the process. There's nothing. We're very lucky. I mean, you get to do opera. 8 hours of people singing at you. It's not a bad thing to do. And I think the challenge, I think, in opera is that there is so much tradition. And there's now so many recordings. So you pick the favorite one that you like, and maybe you decide you're going to emulate that person singing it. But I say you lay that foundation of knowing what other people's choices are, perhaps, but certainly just basically getting back to what's on the page, learning what's there, working with your coach, working with hopefully a conductor, a director, whatever, and then making it your own. You filter it through who you are. The other thing is that if you sing for 100 people, you will get 105 opinions in the opera world. There will be at least 105 opinions about how you should or shouldn't do it. And I've always said to singers, pick 1 or 2 people who you trust, and those are the people you listen to. And you say thank you politely to everybody else. But, assume your voice teacher is someone you trust, your coach accompanist, somebody you're seeing regularly is somebody you trust. Maybe there's 1 or 2 other people, that you can turn to and work with, or just at least perform and get some feedback. But you can't try to make everybody else happy. You need to make yourself happy when you sing. You need to feel at the end of it that you did the best, you gave the most that you had, and that's what you do. That's your performance. And hopefully you work with good people and you're smart at what you're doing and you grow through the process. But the idea of trying to make 100 people happy 100% of the time as a singer is impossible in our field. I say make yourself happy first, and then you'll enjoy singing for the rest of your life.